I do see the benefit to just getting a jump start. You're young, figuring out how to act. Do you need university? I don't think you need it. Now, when you put someone on stage, do they like look awkward and not know what they're doing with their body? And I'm like really trying to be earnest as meatballs are like falling out of my mouth. He'd be like, "Hey, do you mind to stop crying in the kitchen for like a night?"
So you began acting in theater in high school, and then you went to New York University for
Hmm.
theater, right? Do you think that it's a good idea for someone who wants to do what you do to go to um, school for film and go to an environment like that?
Okay, honestly, I've been having this conversation with because most of my friends are artists. I
Right.
mean, even my friends from high school who I'm still very close with, almost all of us are artists or artist adjacent. And
Oh, that's
but then
awesome.
especially when we went to college and you're talking about like Tisch at NYU or any other program kind of like that, um, it's there are two sides of the coin. One is you're going to a very expensive university for an arts education. So, it's a lot of money. And if you're trying to be an actor on film and television, there is definitely a world in which you could just, sorry to the parents listening, cut out university, go straight to LA or New York, but not take out school. Like you have to be in class, you have to be working on your craft as an actor and figure
Right.
out how to act and I mean, you and be in class, really good class with working actors, but as a young actor,
Right,
so
right,
doing
right.
those things and learning, there's a world in which, and that's also can be expensive, but not like paying for a private university or something.
Right, right.
So I do see the benefit to just getting a jump start. You're young, figuring out how to act. Do you need university? I don't think you need it. Now, if you're going to go play Hamlet on Broadway, like you better really know what you're doing. And I mean, your voice has to be in shape, your physicality, your body, your speech, not to mention, like, you better be one of the best actors around.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
do you get that in university? You definitely do. I don't regret going to NYU at all. I
right.
had the best time and I learned so much. I mean, like I tried to soak up as much as I could. I was constantly in a play, so it's also opportunity. I probably did 30 plays by the time I left NYU.
Wow.
So that's kind of crazy. Like
Yeah.
I would have a play ending performances, and the next day I would be starting rehearsal for my next play. And
Wow.
so that it's like very difficult to get that kind of opportunity to work on your craft and work on yourself outside of a school system.
Right.
And also, like, once you get into the professional world, the roles that you start to get right away are pretty lackluster in the beginning, at least unless you're the exception to the rule. So, you're playing like a one line thing or a two-line thing. You're not playing, you're not doing long days journey into night and
Right.
figuring out how to create an entire arc of a character.
Right, right.
So, I totally get university. If you can't afford university or if it puts a financial strain on your family, it does not mean you can't be an actor. Like you really can go learn somewhere else. But I did absolutely love it.
And you met friends from NYU that then you still continue with like King Falls.
Yeah,
And
yeah, totally. So King Falls is this podcast that I was a part of for a long time, and I met the guys behind that not through NYU or anything. It was actually through an audition I did maybe in my first year being out here. And this is actually to show, okay, so when you leave school and you have like nothing going on for you except saying I graduated from so and so,
right. Yeah.
which isn't all that helpful sometimes. I mean, like they don't ask you.
Right.
They just want to see what you got. I didn't have any footage or anything, so I made a video. I made a video on my friend's couch eating a Subway sandwich, a
Yes.
meatball sandwich. Okay. I made this video and I am like, I basically start the video. I forget what I said. I'm like, people ask me what kind of an actor am I? Um, and I just think, I'm a dramatic actor, whatever. And I just start stuffing my face with this meatball sandwich. And I'm like really trying to be earnest as meatballs are like falling out of my mouth. I was like, I gotta do something to show people the kind of guy that I
Oh
am.
yeah, that's awesome.
And they saw that, thought it was funny, cast me in something. And then it starts like a 5 year journey where we did
Oh.
live shows. We went to London together, did a show there. And then I actually brought on at least, oh no, I brought on at least four of my friends from NYU, other actors, who I'm like, listen, if you're trying to fill this part, this person is incredible. Bring them on. And they'd be like, how are you finding these people? And that community does happen through school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I hear it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? That's a big
That's another one of those sayings that is too cynical for its own good because it is true that it does matter who you know, but also how are you going to know them unless you're
yeah,
good at what you do?
right.
Like
No, yeah,
no
totally.
one's like, let's ruin our movie by putting in this person we know who's not good. I
Sure.
mean, every once in a while you could think, even when people complain about performances in film and television, and they're like, oh, this actor's not good. It's like, yeah, go up there and do it. Because I promise you,
Right.
people would be watching the footage and be like, what is happening? Like it is more difficult than people understand. And so generally, yes, it's who you know, but it definitely is what you know as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's true. Because what kind of things are there to learn at a film school? Because it's not all just talent, right? Obviously, you don't just there's at the very least there's maybe 0.0001% of the population that's just born and they can just act and be,
Yeah, yeah.
incredibly talented. But
Right.
so there's obviously stuff that everyone can learn. So it's something like a film school or an acting school. What kind of things do you learn there? Like things that you learn about acting? How do you teach that or learn that?
Okay, so it's a great question. So I kind of look at it as like there are two halves to that equation. One is sort of easier to talk about, and not to put a judgment on it, but maybe less. It's easier to talk about and might be less part of the equation, but it's the
Okay.
technical aspect. So we're talking like again, that how to use your voice, your enunciation. Are you good with accents? Are you physically, when you put someone on stage, do they like look awkward and not know what they're doing with their body?
Right.
How do you embody a character? How do you change those physical aspects of yourself? Um, Even so much a little bit then that borders into script analysis, where it is like a technical skill. Some people are better at it than others, just from the get-go. But script analysis, really being able to look at a scene and going, what is actually happening here? What is the relationship? Because I challenge anyone to make something funny if they don't understand it. You
Right.
really need to fully grasp what it is and not just funny, make someone in the audience cry if you like have
Yeah.
no idea what you're doing. It's just not
Right,
going to
right.
happen. So there's that technical aspect. And then there is the sort of artistic side of it, which is how do you get to that place within yourself? How do you bring yourself to these characters or these moments? And every sort of school of thought is different in terms of the acting schools. There's, in terms of the American acting teachers, there's like Stella Adler, Lee Strasberg, Sanford
Oh yeah.
Meisner. So I went to the Meisner studio at NYU and so studied for the first 2 years that technique. And so you'd be shocked to be in a class if you're not an actor of what we do in class. I'll just give a slight example. We had to come up with these things called activities, which is no script. It's all improvisational. And you'd come up with something that you had to do. This is a very truncated version. Something that you had to do that was really hard to do, either emotionally or physically, as it went on. It's very difficult. And there has to be a reason for you to do it. So you sort of start to write these circumstances. Like I had one where my parents actually, funny enough, this is in the imaginary circumstance. It was 2008 and the financial crisis had happened. And so in my imaginary circumstance, I was like, my parents came to me and they said, we actually are not going to be able to send you to school anymore. We've run out of money. you're going to have to get either a full scholarship or you're going to have to drop out. So I'm like, okay, I craft this circumstance. You think about it emotionally. How would that make me feel? You go through what would that be like? And then I set up this like, I found an IQ test online and I'm like, okay, the first part of this scholarship would be you have to get a whatever perfect score on this IQ test. It's timed. It's like giving me 30 seconds per question. So I'm there in front of the class taking this IQ test. And you're like,
Oh.
what does this have to do about acting? But I'm there and I am trying to take it and I immediately have no idea what the question's asking me. And I'm freaking out and I'm seeing the timer go. And then my acting partner knocks on my door and I have to go let my acting partner in. And they're in for a reason as well to get me to do something. So now
Ah.
they're like, hey, Noah, listen, real quick. I really need your help. And I'm like, dude, stop. Hold on. All of a sudden, you're in contention with each other.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
need something from you. You are desperate to get this other thing done. And getting yourself to a place of freedom and allowing whatever sort of behavior or emotions or life to come up and bubble up, you start to become familiar with it so that then when you're playing a character who is in desperate need of something,
yeah.
you're
Right.
like, I know what that is. I know what that's like for me. I know
Ah.
what would make me be as desperate as possible. Let me marry that to the character. And then the rest of the time, now you get a script and you go, oh, I did this scene in class that year from this play called Journey's End about
Right.
World War One in England. There's this character who, no matter what, he's like, I don't care. You could kill me right now. I will not leave this trench. I'm
Right.
not going up there. I'm so afraid. I'd rather you, my commanding officer, shoot me than me go up in the trench. So, okay, that's sort of pretty serious. So you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like start to do some emotional deep dives. And my roommate would, he'd be like, "Hey, do you mind to stop crying in the kitchen for like a night? I'm trying to like relax." But that was our work. That was like as actors in school. We go in
Oh,
the
well.
kitchen, we cry a little, we yell a little, and we're weird. That's 4 years of that.